Hello and welcome to the George's Live Podcast, the official podcast of George's Majestic Lounge. I am your host, and this week we have Randall Shreve on the show to talk about his solo shows, as well as his band and his latest venture as lead singer of a Freddie Mercury Tribute put out by Drummerboyinfinity, who you might have heard on the podcast with his other tributes. If you guys want to go online to georgeslive.com, you can see what shows are coming up, as well as get tickets for that show and more. Be sure to follow us on social media, on Instagram at George's Majestic Lounge, on Twitter at George's Majestic, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. We'll go ahead and take you right into that interview with Randall Shreve. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Randall, for coming on the show. He's one of my favorite people on the planet, and I've been waiting to sit down with him and chat with him. And let's take you right there. Here's Randall Shreve on the George's Live Podcast. Sweet. All right. I am here with Randall Shreve. What's up, man?
I am here with Travis Smith. What's up?
Nice. Not a whole lot. Randall just now brought up, he asked me if I had listened to podcasts on half speed before.
It's the best.
It really is.
It's my favorite thing about podcasts, and I love podcasts.
Do we need to give somebody something to play half speed here?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Anything with Trump.
I'm here with Randall Shreve.
I'm here with Travis Smith.
If you guys go to your podcast settings and slow down your speed to halftime and go back to listen to that, and you'll definitely get a good chuckle.
Yes, it's very
awkward as it is to do it live. It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Randall, you've been busy, dude.
I've been busy.
You've been playing a lot of shows. You've been got this new Freddie Mercury thing going on that we can definitely dive into here in a little bit. Just had a great show at that main
Mike's
stage.
Blues and Barbecue, yeah.
Dude,
my first time on that main stage. That was pretty cool.
You caught a really good crowd, too, it looked like.
Yeah. Nearly caught a Frisbee to the face.
Really?
Oh, yeah, there was all kinds of things flying. It was awesome.
Nice.
I mean, there was really one point where it was a full-on dodge, where I visibly dodged like it was a punch.
Did you dodge it how Randall would dodge it, or do you dodge it how Freddie
would dodge it? Yeah.
Hit it with
it was a lot smoother.
Nice.
Yeah, no, one came right at my face, and with the sunglasses on and with the lights right in my eyes, it was right upon me before I realized that I'm about to be hit in the face with the Frisbee.
Working up at the amp, sometimes we have to take bottle caps off of water bottles and stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So something's happened. Getting hit with a full water bottle with a cap on it.
That's rough, yeah.
You could take somebody out with that thing.
Yeah, ask Nickelback.
Oh, dude, I will. Let me see if I can. Let me ask him to come on the podcast, and that'll be my first question. So what else you got?
Does it hurt getting bottled, Nickelback?
I didn't see your other interviews where you talked about it. I want you to tell me about it. So but that's not all you're doing. You got your solo stuff, and then also you got your band.
Yep. Yeah, the solo stuff has taken, it has been for the past few years, taken up a lot of my time as far as dates, booking a lot of those solo dates, just because it's real cost effective to be be the only one responsible for myself, and to not have to split up the fees,
Yeah, and it's, a lot of times when you go play somewhere that you haven't played in a while, I start getting texts going, man, I forgot how amazing Randall is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Him up there on stage.
That's awesome.
And it's cool to always get that. And then when I see you, I'm always like, damn, Randall's you're so insanely talented.
Oh,
man.
Thanks, man. That's
all
awesome.
These instruments, just the way you layer the stuff, you pull so much emotion out of what you do.
Yeah. Good.
But also by putting emotion into it, but it reads, I think, exactly how you're pumping it out.
Good. Oftentimes I don't know what places get it, what places don't. Sometimes I play dive bars or play, which I enjoy, but also I play sports bars, or I'll play full on music venues, and for me it's the same, but I can also I can't help but notice that it's not the same at each one of these places for everyone. Some people want to be partying, and that's not really necessarily what I bring to the table. Party music. But I do try to set a nice vibe in any room I play in.
Mm-hmm. So, and for people that haven't seen you, That truck's not very loud at all.
No, that's not loud.
For people that haven't seen you, though, you're not just standing up there with the guitar. I mean, you've got all kinds of stuff up there. Can you kind of walk through what, not, you don't have to explain your whole setup, but kind of explain what sets your setup?
Well, so it used to be, I'd book myself for 3 hours and I'd just play. It would just be me and a guitar for 3 hours. And I really enjoyed that. It was being difficult to get returning bookings over and over in the same place, different places that branch off of that, because that just doesn't, it's hard to keep that interesting for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And that's why I started adding the looping. So it kind of grew from there. I started off just wanting to like make something different, happen, so that I could have a little longevity with the solo stuff and keep people entertained for 3 hours. And then realizing that it worked and that the sky was the limit, or at least however many instruments I could fit in my Corolla is the limit. And so I just started adding different elements, and I still am, I'll change out different things to my setup so that there's a new element hopefully every time I play somewhere.
Does it make it exciting for you bringing new stuff
yeah. It makes it where I don't always know how it's going to sound, how it's going to go, but yeah, keeps it fresh.
How often do you bring in an instrument you don't know really how to play that well? Do you ever do anything like that?
Yeah, I'd say once every 6 months.
Because I was messing around with like guitar. I don't play guitar. I can't tell you what I'm playing. But even last night, I felt like something was like flowing out of me, and I did it and recorded it, and I was like, I could tease somebody into thinking I know how to play guitar if I showed them that. I can't play anything else.
Yeah.
So it's the type of thing that I've learned through just playing other instruments. I used to have this mental thing where I thought that because I couldn't play something as well, if I made something cool, I wouldn't be able to do it later because I don't really understand it, which is wrong in my opinion. Once it's done, I mean, if it's something you like, it's something that's done and out there. But recently I've been getting over that. If you come up with something on an instrument that's not your instrument, kind of being more gutsy about just keeping it. For me playing drums, I'll throw it on my sample pad and then write a bass line to it and throw that on the sample pad and then play drums to it and stuff like that.
Sample pad's something I've never used that I've always wanted to. That looks like a lot of fun.
The technology of what they have now is just it's off the charts.
Yeah.
It's for back in the day they just had the pad you would hit. Right now I'm recording this on a Rodecaster. This is like the new industry standard, super cool mobile way and it has everything you need in it. And I kind of always link this in my brain, kind of to like a Roland SPD-SX, because it's got like a click track in it with multiple sub outs and stuff.
Okay.
And like the sample pads now have so many functions in it that I think you would geek out on it. It's a lot of fun.
I'm sure. I love anything like that. I love new instruments. I love I love learning, learning anything in this, especially inside this the field of music, and creativity. I love learning things and
seeing. Have you played music your whole life?
Oh yeah.
When did you start?
Well, I mean, just before I couldn't say. Yeah. There are pictures of me, singing from when I was a kid, like stuff I don't remember. I was too young to remember. My first instrument that I owned, I got when I was 9, and that was a drum set. And I mean, every couple of years after that, I was working on a new instrument, like
just learning something new.
Yeah, learning the shapes of the chords and stuff like that.
Does anybody, your brother Ben plays? Did you guys play together?
Wait, Benjamin? He plays?
Benjamin does?
What? Yeah. Our dad played a little bit of guitar. Our mom played a little bit of piano. They both sang, but it wasn't anything, real serious. They didn't take it like as seriously as me and Benjamin did.
Yeah. Did you guys play together? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, as we got a little older, he didn't play for the first 7 years that I was playing,
Okay.
that I considered myself a young musician, he wasn't. He had no real interest in it. And then he started playing when I needed a bass player, and we were from a tiny town, and I had gone through the other bass player,
Yeah,
in
I was
town.
about to say, I
So
was
just like, we gotta have another bass player in this town, and so Benjamin volunteered and realized how quickly he could pick up an instrument. I think he just thought, like everybody, it'll be too much. It'll be too difficult for me.
Yeah.
I don't have the time for that. And so once he realized how easy that first instrument was, it grew in him.
Especially, I would imagine, if you're playing with somebody you already have a relationship with, and they're on the drums.
Yeah.
Like a bass player and a drummer, you could.
Yeah.
You could lock in super tight sometimes without the best bass players.
Yeah, and we didn't even understand that at in our teens. We didn't understand the importance of communication and understanding between rhythm section members, but it clicked naturally, even without us having the knowledge of how this works. We didn't have any formal training.
What brought you from performing in a band on the drums into the front?
I think just writing. I started writing before I left the drums, and to write, I was playing either piano or guitar, and I think it was just a natural occurrence. When Benjamin started doing his solo stuff and the band was dissolved, and I was working more in the studio. Well, I was working every day in the studio for other people. So in my downtime, and to be a better engineer, I just worked on stuff I had. It occurred to me that I can play drums. I can play, at some level, I can play any of these instruments. And so why couldn't I put my ideas together? So I didn't think they would be worth anything, or I didn't think anybody would care to hear them.
Yeah.
But it was an exercise that ended up being a passion that steered me from engineering to performing live again. So there was this. I thought I was done touring, is what it amounted to. I thought I was finished with that, and I missed it really badly, and at the same time suddenly had this new revelation that I could do it on this other level. I could be the singer-songwriter, instead of the drummer, waiting for the songs to be written and sang.
Yeah.
And so that along with just missing the performance aspect of everything, put me right back in, and on the road.
Do you find yourself still enjoying playing live as much as you did as
more
a teenager?
Way more. Yeah. I love it more than ever. I mean, every season is a new, more exciting. I didn't know as much when I was a kid.
Man, that's the game changer, I feel like.
Yeah.
As you get older, when you're younger, I was talking to a group of guys that I'm playing with now. We just now had a new release and haven't really announced that I'm in this band and whatnot.
Nice.
So, and we're about to make those announcements, but, I was in there signing us up for South by Southwest. And I was thinking about, past times and past opportunities, past label showcases and things that I did in the past where we really thought we were trying and
Right.
we really thought we were, not thought we were right, but we were trying for something that we didn't get the bigger scope of it, because you get older and you learn more and you're in the game longer. You just get more knowledge.
Yep.
To now, instead of hoping this is the right thing to do, now you know what to do, and now it's work, and you can treat it like a business, and you can tackle it, and that's the fun.
Yeah.
Is to find out, oh wow, I had 50 people sign up on a newsletter. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I
Yeah.
didn't do that for the last 20 years. So
Yeah.
But like those little things you pick up on as you get older that help your career, that's what I feel like makes it fun, because you're not as scared.
Yep.
And like weird feeling like someone's out to get you and stuff, as you get like your bearings and you're like, okay, this is my music. This is what I want. This is how I want to showcase it to people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like it opens up the door, and it's almost like a second life on your career of breathing new life into it.
Well, it's like there's not the young confidence is great, and young confidence is what makes this.
And you have to keep that
what
as you get older.
springboards us. For sure,
You have to tap into it.
But to me, it doesn't. It's not as you start realizing what that was. You know, it was.
Yeah.
But it can be and should be replaced with real confidence, because now you have the knowledge that you didn't have then. Mm-hmm. You had like this or at least I'll speak for just myself. I had this misplaced confidence, which was beneficial to me. It helped. But if I suddenly forgot all the things that I've learned in the past 10 years, that I would have no confidence. I would have no confidence in myself or my future, you know, as an artist. So to think that I had all this just abundant confidence 10 years ago is interesting to me. That, you know, that I'm glad it was there.
Yeah, but then you're glad you had those experiences.
Yeah,
I did.
It led me through, you know, some times that got me to a better place as a musician.
Have you always been based out of Arkansas? Have you lived anywhere else? With
No,
music?
I've lived. So I started off music. Well, just from my singer-songwriter start was in Florida. So before that, everything was drums, and I lived in Indiana and Arkansas and Tennessee. But I moved to Florida, and that's when I was working in a studio, and started my singer-songwriter stuff. Did my first release down there. Moved to New York. Did my second release there, and I lived each of those places 2 or 3 years, and I moved here, and that's where I've done I did the next 3 albums here. Now I'm working on, 2 more right now. One with the band where I'll actually do a collaboration for the first time, and then, for the first real collaboration.
With your band?
Yeah. With the DeVilles. The Jester album, for me, that was my third album. It was the closest that I've come to doing a collaborative effort with a band. But even that, there are 2 versions of that album. One was just nobody was in the studio, and I recorded it and like presented it to the band. Said, let's make this sound way better than this, you know. And they did that. But this, I've stopped earlier on the demo side of things. I've stopped earlier in that process and brought the band in and said, here are the songs. They're very incomplete. Let's finish them. And then let's make it sound really good. So, we'll see how it goes. We're starting to attack it right away. And I imagine it's just going to be amazing. I'm surrounded by great musicians.
Yeah, you have a great band.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. How'd that band come together? How'd you grab these folks?
Just over time, you know, making sure that I'm surrounded by like-minded people, making sure that I without burning bridges, remove people who are not like-minded.
The same vision.
Yeah, exactly. Making sure that they move along, and that we move along, and it's a pretty quick process. The sideshow is what came together first, and that came together within a year of moving here to Fayetteville. And then the sideshow did 5 years together, toured heavily, and then I started the DeVilles on the heels of the end of the sideshow, and started it with a couple members of the sideshow. Mm-hmm. And then over the next year, or year and a half, because Jacob came along a little bit later, we solidified like what it would be like, what the lineup would be, and how it would operate, you know.
Whenever you write these songs, are you do you have like a practice of writing? Do you kind of write when they come to you type scenario, or I try to
leave it alone unless I'm inspired. I have tried to, they say you gotta put in the time.
Gotta work that muscle.
Yeah. And I get that, but like, I don't want to work on something that's uninspired. I feel like it'll just sound like uninspired, a polished version of that uninspired work. For me, I have to be excited when I run to the guitar and have a melody, and as long as I'm doing it that way, I end up happy with the song, and I mean, years later when I listen back to something for reference, I'm happy with it, and that's what I want to always happen. I'm slow at putting out records, 2-3 years between each one of them, and I don't regret that, because I've listened to what I almost put on an album quickly, and kind of cringed, like, what if that had been part of my,
As a person who, sorry to all my friends, I'll probably recorded these albums if they're listening. Most of the albums I've played on were albums where, like, we need an album.
Right.
To be relevant or to do something. So we went in, when I was in Thanks for Nothing, we were a cover band that recorded a song. So if we had just now learned a Maroon 5 song, we went in and recorded a song that sounded like a Maroon 5 song. If we learned a Weezer song, we went in and did that, and then at the end we just have an album that sounds like an original cover album.
Right.
So I would imagine there's probably a lot of internal being okay with what you're putting out.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know when it's done? How do you know when it's ready to...
It's never done.
So
it's never done.
When you play live after you release it, do you kind of...
Oh, they get better. Yeah, the songs get way better, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that Taylor Swift is re-recording, she's nothing like... we're nothing alike, but I saw that she's re-recording all her old albums. That makes a lot of sense to me.
That's awesome.
I would love to re-record all my old albums if I had the kind of money that she has for the budget, But... the songs get better with time.
I was looking through a playlist for an event I was doing, and they wanted like country, and I looked up like Brooks and Dunn, and like Brooks and Dunn like Reloaded or something. It's like a redone.
Oh, I didn't know
all their
that.
hits with like new country stars and stuff on it, stuff like that. I mean, it's just always interesting when people re-release.
Oh yeah,
new
yeah.
stuff.
Well, why not? I mean,
There's so much more life put into it, especially like years after you do it. I imagine it'd be almost like a whole different ballgame.
Oh yeah.
Is there any new artist that's put out stuff recently that you've been digging?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with Father John Misty, like so many people are. I mean, I think he's just brilliant. I can't stop listening to that stuff. Of course, I listen to a lot of Queen, so I'm like finding these B-sides that I never knew about, which is nice, because that's my favorite band of all time.
What a dream then to be like on stage doing what you're doing. How'd that come about? The whole Freddie Mercury thing?
Okay. So Cliff Aaron with Drummerboyinfinity.
He's been on the podcast.
He has?
Yep.
Man, he's great.
He's the best, man.
I love working with him. He called me. I always wanted to work with him. Didn't know if I ever would, or how it would work, or if there would be an opportunity. He called me last year in July. Said he wanted to do that. He wanted me to do the Freddie parts, and so I said yeah, and was all excited about it for about 10 minutes. Then I sat down and started listening to everything fresh. Like instead of as a listener,
I gotta do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I gotta do this. And it was terrifying. It was good, but there was a point where I thought about calling in sick like 2 months before the first show. I'm going to be sick on that day. Let's cancel that.
I'll make sure of it.
Don't tell everyone that I chickened out. I really thought of like, how am I going to get out of this gracefully without looking like a fool? Because I'm not going to do this. At one point. And then I started listening to the live stuff and hearing a different side of... I never listened to Queen's live albums because I wanted all those vocals and I wanted, all that production. And so when I started listening to kind of understand fully how did they do this live, you hear much more the soul that those four guys really produced in one take, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of the overproduction, or the huge production rather, and that made it seem more realistic. Like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, I can't. You know, not nobody's going to do it as well as Freddie.
But you're more likely to be able to do this than that.
Yeah, yeah. It was encouraging. It was like to hear how Freddie adjusted to be able to convey these songs live. That, I think, was the turning point for me, where I thought, no, you can do this. It's going to take a lot of work. You can do it.
What kind of work?
Listening every single day for hours and hours, while like you can get the tracks on YouTube and online, other places that are just his vocal or just all the vocals. Coming to a better understanding of what's going on here, where he's breathing, where what part of his voice is singing this. I mean, learning the words was really tough for me. They put a lot more words into a minute than I ever would.
Yeah.
Than I ever have. You know, it's just a lot of it's like the song "Let Me Entertain You." It wasn't one that I was super familiar with. I knew the song, but I didn't know all the words. And it's just a lot. I've just never had that many words come out of my mouth in 3 minutes. You know, it's just so, like, they're on top of each other. You have to like I had to write down phonetically on a couple lines, but because I can't sing those. I can't sing those words.
It's like an Eminem song or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
2 sheets of lyrics.
Yeah. So that was interesting. Then just lots of like learning that my heart rate's got to go up to be able to even start. You know?
So whenever you're practicing singing, are you running on a treadmill or something?
No,
like that?
I seriously would. So where I practiced, where I got the initial practice done for these songs, was in my rehearsal space at the time, was downstairs. And it was 16 stairs, and I would just run them until I was exhausted, and that would be the starting point for Queen songs.
Were you singing when you did it?
No.
What's Randall singing?
No, I was
Freddie
listening.
Mercury songs
I was
running
listening really loud. Like
Yeah.
I would have it like pumped. You know, like it's late at night, and I'm there's nobody in that area at that time of night, and so I would just have it blasting as I run up and down these stairs. And once my heart rate was up, the energy was. I never considered that, even though I knew in anything I've ever done, after the third or fourth song, I'm better, I'm stronger, and now I'm convinced it has so much to do with having your blood moving faster, like everything's working better, you know, like your blood moving faster is getting all the water to the right places of your throat, and like your muscles are ready for it, stuff like that. So it just taught me a lot about singing. You know, I'm always going to be learning about how to make it better, I guess.
Have you applied a lot of the things that you learned through that process to your original stuff?
Oh yeah. It's made my original stuff easy.
Yeah.
Like stuff that I used to tell the guys, oh, we can't do that song tonight, or we certainly can't start with that song. Now it's just like all of them.
Anything below Queen and Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the wonder if I'm going to be able to pull this song off tonight when it comes to my own set. You know, the getting through 20-25 Queen songs in a night has taught me that I'm capable of so much more than I thought I was.
Just physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, just being able, like the stamina, being able to like apply these things that made it possible to do all these Queen songs in a night, make it pretty easy for me to do the stuff that I once thought was really difficult about my set.
So do you have, what shows you got coming up with this Freddie Mercury Tribute?
Well, for the Freddie thing, I've got George's on the 27th of December, and then I've got this will be the first time we've ever done 2 in a row. I've got Rev Room in Little Rock on the 28th. Those are the only 2 on the calendar right now, but there's talk of a lot more.
Nice.
So we'll see. I got to get a passport, I guess. I don't know all the details of this, but I guess that there's real talk of doing it outside the U.S.
Somewhere that involves a passport.
Yeah, yeah. So that'd be neat. That'd be fun.
Have you toured overseas before?
I have a little bit, but not nearly to the extent I'd like to. I've gone over. I don't think I've ever done 2 shows in any other country. I think anytime I've gone to another country, it's been like 1 show and I'm back on the plane.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to be able to do more than that. And like
kind of experience the culture and whatnot.
Yeah.
Where can people go online to find your non-Freddie Mercury stuff?
RandallShreve.com, or it's on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. We're trying to do better about all that stuff. Social media has never been my favorite thing because I don't want to do it.
Nobody does, dude. It's late. I mean, I do it.
Yeah.
But like, to me, it's just, it doesn't bother me because I'm so used to doing it.
Yeah.
But like, there's tricks.
Yeah.
And kind of, if you can sit down and like plan your announcements and stuff, I've found that's a lot easier. Planning and stuff. But I'm bad about pulling out my phone and taking a picture of what I'm doing.
I like it for that. I don't like taking a picture of myself. Just because I used to not mind it, but the culture that's around it now, I do not want to be that. I don't want to look like that. Like the people,
I'm the same way, and
the people who are doing that, I'm happy for them and that it's gotten them millions of followers or whatever. Mm-hmm. I would rather not have millions of followers and be myself. I don't take selfies.
Yeah,
I don't
for a podcast, I'll take 200 people that listen to every artist that I bring on here, and if they go listen to their music and they're interested in it, if everybody goes to your website because they listen to this, I'd rather have that than 10,000 people that don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Just listen to it to play it or something, So you can't beat like organic people supporting your art.
What's that?
Or like organic, not organic people as in like
right. No, I got you. People organically supporting your art is if it could be that's what I want. I just don't want to trick them into doing it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people to speak bluntly, a lot of people without any talent. People who I'm embarrassed for them, but they're real up on the selfies and taking videos that get people's attention for one reason or another, definitely not having anything to do with their talent in the cases that I'm talking about anyhow.
Yeah, well, I think it limits it sets your ceiling only available through that one particular outlet.
Yeah.
You got 133,000 Instagram followers, but you don't have, does that transfer over to album sales? Does that transfer to concert tickets?
Right.
Or does that transfer into likes of pictures?
Yeah. Well, and the quality of the crowd that you're, if you're playing in a room full of people you don't like, that you don't want to be around, you haven't succeeded,
Yeah.
But if you're on the other hand, like there are the groups that are doing it very well, who have a handle on how this is supposed to work organically. If you're Father John Misty, or just for an example, Father John Misty, I'm sure doesn't have any trouble getting the crowd that he wants to be at his shows, who are there for the music and are appreciative of what he's bringing. That would just be gold. I mean, better than any high album sales or popularity on social media. I just don't understand it. I guess I'm too old to get.
It's crazy being a part of the generation that is around before digital stuff. Because I asked somebody the other day, I was like, it's like a Paris Hilton person. And they're like, Paris Hilton,
right?
And I was like, Kim Kardashian. They're like, oh yeah.
Oh my God!
It's like that was the one before.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
But dude, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Oh man, yeah.
To the show here, and always a fan of everything you're doing, man.
Thanks, man.
It's a
Likewise.
having you in Fayetteville. So
I love being here. I don't see myself ever leaving here. This is a beautiful place.
awesome. Everybody go check out Randall's music. Thank everybody for listening to the podcast. You can go online to georgeslive.com for more tickets and information. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at George's Majestic Lounge and on Twitter at George's Majestic. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to rate, subscribe, and review the podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
And listen to this at half speed.
And go back and listen to this at half speed, and then listen to it also at double speed, and let us know which one you like more.